In a beautiful case of the power of the internet to force companies to change their mind about stupid decisions, Cracker Barrel has caved. You might be wondering what I'm talking about. Essentially, last week, Cracker Barrel, for some insane reason, got it in their head that it would be a great idea to change their logo from the traditional logo to a very, very generic logo. Cracker Barrel, the restaurant that is founded on the idea of like old style, traditional, like Midwestern American food, decided to modernize. The aesthetic of Cracker Barrel that everyone loved was all this old farm crap hanging all over the walls, and it looked like you walked into like your great grandfather's barn and you were served biscuits and gravy and home style chicken and all that good stuff. Decided they were gonna modernize and decided, I hadn't been into Cracker Barrel, but they made comments too about how they were gonna start changing the decor. The thing that made Cracker Barrel, they decided to get rid of. And this immediately resulted in let me check here. Let me make sure I got this right. 7.2% drop in the value of their shares, which equated to about $100 million in losses. This ridiculous decision that anyone that understood the most basics of what people liked about Cracker Barrel, aesthetically and food-wise and just in general vibe-wise, would have understand was a bad idea, their brand strategist decided was a great idea. And of course, they lost a lot of money doing that. The overhaul, the rebranding, making the new stuff, making the new logo, making the new aesthetic for the store, and trying to modernize everything in this old-fashioned store / restaurant, because they do have a store, was overseen by their CEO, Julie Fels-Massino, who I can't imagine is going to be their CEO for much longer. I gotta imagine she just, social media'd her way out of a job, which is really sad, but also I think a good learning experience considering she made a bunch of stupid decisions just in a moment and tanked their stock pretty significantly. Last year, apparently, she described Cracker Barrel as not as relevant as we once were, announcing plans to update their menu. And I don't know about you, but I love Cracker Barrel. I go to Cracker Barrel a lot. I've been to Cracker Barrel with a bunch of different people, with a bunch of different dates. Like it oddly enough, there's been a number of times I've taken several goth women to Cracker Barrel and they fucking love it. So even amongst like the, edgiest whatever group of people that might be seen as, oh, this isn't their aesthetic, they love Cracker Barrel. I don't know how she got this idea that they weren't as relevant as they once were, and decided the plan was to update the menu and rebrand everything. And their brand strategist, Kelly O'Keefe, who was a founding partner of consultancy Brand Federation, said the reason for the logo change was to simplify an overly complex logo. But I don't think anyone thought the logo was overly complex. And I think genericizing a logo probably isn't a great idea. Taking something that everyone would immediately recognize and be like, yeah, that's Cracker Barrel, and saying, oh, that's too complex, we're gonna make it so generic that it could be literally anything. Like, I've seen motels and gas stations on like the side of the road when I've been traveling across the United States that had a logo that looked very similar to the one they changed it to. None of that really matters. I will point out the fact that she also made the comment of, in a normal marketing environment, this would not even be noticed, but these are not normal times. Politically inert marketing moves are being labeled as political for opportunistic reasons. You might be right, but also you're a brand strategist. You should have realized that. You should have realized that this was going to be politicized in a way, but I don't even think they're right about what it is or how it's being politicized, because both sides of the house hate it. My more right-wing friends thought it was stupid. My more left-wing friends thought it was stupid. Everyone hated it. This wasn't a political thing. This was not a political thing. This was you made a stupid brand decision thing, and everyone hated it. But now I think she's trying to play like this, oh, well, this was a good move. It's just, we're in a overly political environment, and that's why people are hating it. I'm a genius. I know exactly what I'm doing. People hate it because politics. No, you just made a very dumb decision. But none of that matters anymore because they recently announced that they're going back to their original logo. And I think that was the right move. And it feels just like that moment when the Sonic trailer released. And I almost wonder, like, conspiracy theory Zach wants to say, I almost wonder if they did this on purpose to renew some interest in Cracker Barrel and get it back to be talked about a bit more, because I've never been in a Cracker Barrel that was empty. I've never been in a Cracker Barrel that wasn't like at least somewhat filled, but maybe they're trying to renew interest in it, and they did the same thing that like the Sonic movie did, that everyone was conspiracizing about, however you say that word, they intentionally released this really crappy trailer so that a bunch of internet hype would get up about it, about being angry about it, and then we fix it, and all of a sudden now we're being talked about a lot and people are so happy with it. So maybe they're doing that. Maybe that's what they were doing. But they announced that they were going to be changing back. They finally announced that they were going to be changing back. But for some reason, even their changing back of the logo has to be politicized, because I saw this like earlier today when I was at the gym. I was on my phone and I saw this article pop up, and it was a CNN article that was titled, "After Right-Wing Backlash, Cracker Barrel Says It Will Get Rid of Its New Logo," as if Republicans bullied Cracker Barrel into changing its logo, and it had nothing to do with the ridiculous, like the 7.2% drop in their stock value. That had nothing to do with why they changed their logo back. The fact that everyone hated it, and the fact that it says after right-wing backlash, everyone hated it. This was the first time in so many years that the right and the left have been joined together on a concept, and that concept was Cracker Barrel fucked up. This was the thing that could have brought in peace across party lines, because everyone I heard talking about this, everyone I knew that was talking about this, hated it. It didn't matter their political affiliation or their ethical or moral beliefs or what they thought about this or that. Everyone thought that the decision was stupid and the new logo sucked. So I don't know where they're going with this after right-wing backlash was the cause. It was 100% the fact that their stock value dropped and everyone hated it. They responded to the fact that the public did not like a decision they made in general, and they were losing money for it. I don't get why this has to be political. But they said, at Cracker Barrel, it's always been and always will be about serving up delicious food, warm welcomes, and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family. As a proud American institution, our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you to our table soon. A very political response. We're just not going to address this, but they did. Hold on. Oh, okay. So according to this article, which is a little bit more updated than the article I pulled up to see how much their stock dropped, it actually dropped 12% total. It dropped 7.2% very quickly, but I guess the total drop was a 12% drop in stock price and valuation of the company by the end of it. But I think it's being politicized because political figures got involved. The U.S. president congratulated the company on its reversal. All your fans very much appreciate it. Good luck into the future. Make lots of money. And most importantly, make your customer happy again, he said on Truth Social. Why does this have to be a political thing? Why does a company making a bad marketing decision have to suddenly become a political thing? And why are people treating it, realizing that people did not like it, a purely financial decision? A decision that was made 100% over the fact that they were losing money, have to become this statement about politics and about the preservation of this or that, or one political side winning, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't get it. Apparently, a deputy White House chief of staff posted on X that he received a call from Cracker Barrel earlier on Tuesday saying that they thank President Trump for weighing in on the issue. Why is this moment where a company made a bad marketing decision and reversed that decision becoming a political statement for people? I don't get it. It's just biscuits and gravy and chicken, man. That's all it is. And it's good biscuits and gravy and good chicken. And, Markiplier really likes the chicken and dumplings. I prefer my mom's chicken and dumplings a little bit over the Cracker Barrel chicken and dumplings, but they got pretty good chicken and dumplings. But I don't get it. To the point of Donald Trump Jr. posted, WTF is wrong with Cracker Barrel on X. Charlie Kirk posted a side-by-side comparison of Sydney Sweeney's controversial American Eagle ad and the original Cracker Barrel logo with the new minimalist one, and a woman who weighs more than Sweeney. Why is this becoming a political issue? This is not the first time that a company has genericized their logo. This is just a company that prided itself and marketed itself on old school aesthetic and old school vibes and old school food that decided to to genericize it, and the internet exploded. And I think it exploded just as much. And I'll give you that. Yes, part of it was no doubt the people saying this is some woke BS, and it's because there's a white man on the thing, and that was probably a small subset of the internet that was really mad about that, but a vocal subset of the internet. But mostly everyone hated it. It wasn't a partisan decision. It wasn't a political decision. It was a bad marketing decision, and now the internet exploded about it, and luckily they changed it back. And I'm happy they changed it back, because I would have been really sad if the next time I walked into Cracker Barrel, it was, modern diner style aesthetic or something like that, rather than the aesthetic that I love and the feeling that it reminded me of, go visiting my family in Oklahoma and sitting down at some of the restaurants there, and the smell of biscuits and gravy cooking and all that good stuff. I just don't get why this had to be politicized, but it was, but they made it, the point of it is they changed it back. I'm very happy they changed it back, and I'm going to leave this there. I know this isn't the normal type of video that I talk about. It's definitely has nothing to do with gaming, but I did want to talk about it, and I don't want to just talk. I don't want to just be the guy that shits on Nintendo. So I am trying to branch out a little bit. But if you like that, if you want to hear me talk about more things, I am going to stop only talking about video game news, but I am still going to be talking about video game news a lot too. But if you want to see more of the content I make, please subscribe, and if you could leave a like and a comment, that will really help with engagement and help the video do better. Every piece of engagement helps the video do better. Down there is going to be a lot of stuff about the membership. If you sign up for the membership, you get those perks. We're trying to make sure we actually use those perks a little bit more. But the big important thing is that 100% of the funding from the memberships will go straight to my editor until it gets to the time where I can afford to hire him on full time. And I live stream Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. I use live commentary mode on YouTube. So leave a comment under the pinned post that says some sort of thing saying you want to watch the streams, and I will prove you as a live commentator. Anyways, have a nice day.